Hello everyone and welcome to the Sydneyist, a weekly conversation about the city we love. I'm Elizabeth Farrelly and we're broadcasting from the Alan Slate studio at Eastside Radio on 89.7 FM or streaming on eastsidefm.org. Tonight we're looking at trees. With urban heat and climate change so much centre stage these days, trees are our best defence, so it's kind of astonishing that we still chop them down. Specifically tonight we're looking at the destruction of almost 600 mature trees on the Royal Sydney Golf Course. And my guest this evening is Councillor Nicola Grieve. Nicola, welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's nice to be here.
Yes, thanks for being here. We all love trees, of course. Trees cool us and they give us shade, they provide habitat, sequester carbon and generate oxygen, which is very nice of them, which makes them really almost the perfect solar-powered, climate-friendly machine. And, of course, we also know that in the eastern suburbs in particular, the place is beloved in large part because of its trees, because it has such beautiful, huge avenue trees, venerable tree canopy, and yet still we chop them down. This morning I was very near the Royal Sydney Golf Course and was astonished to see with my own eyes the war zone that's been generated. I don't know how much of the course it is, but it looks like around about 2/3 of the area, but I understand something like 25% of the canopy has gone. But at the same time, all of the grass across that area, which is the whole southern and eastern swathe of the course,
it's been poisoned.
It looks like an open-cut mine. So how did it come to this? Can you just summarise the story for us? I know it's probably a long one for you.
Very long one. It was a 4 to 5 year battle. We ultimately lost, but had some concessions along the way. The original number of trees was reduced by about 70.
Trees to be cut down, that is.
Trees to be cut down was reduced by about 70 trees. There was a redesign. It all came from some people at the golf club wanting to have a bit of a vanity project, we called it. They want to get international competitions in the Links competition, which is a treeless, headland golf courses you see around our coast and also in
It sounds
Scotland.
Really hot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, playing golf with no shade.
It's fine in Scotland,
Exactly.
just not fine in Australia. And then they engaged Donald Trump's golf club designer,
As you do.
who hates trees. So we were, screwed from the beginning, basically. They didn't understand that people would be upset. They thought, these are our trees, this is our land, we can do what we want to with them. They were quite shocked and flabbergasted that the council said, oh, no, there's a few things you have to do.
So how many trees are we talking about now?
595 trees, of which 391 of them are the grand short-leaf melaleucas, the Melaleuca quinquennarian.
The paperbarks.
The big paperbarks, which are in flower at the moment. If you're anywhere near it, you'll smell the...
Beautiful things.
Yeah, it's like honeydew.
They're the Centennial Park paperbarks.
Yeah, and they're, yes, like Centennial Park. They are also, there is a stand that is heritage listed on the golf club that were there before white settlement.
Wow.
And so they are endemic. They are the trees that should be there because it's a floodplain and they are floodplain trees.
Yeah, they really love water, don't they?
Yeah,
yes.
They love water.
Yeah.
And what they do is they control the flooding. So they are they're a serious flood mitigation. And now we've lost a substantial number of them. So we have grave concerns about flooding in the area.
It's amazing, isn't it? So how was it approved? Who approved it, I suppose?
Land Environment Court.
Okay, so the council opposed?
Through the planning panel opposed it, refused it. We were forced into what they call conciliation conference where you negotiate.
Sounds like divorce, doesn't it?
Oh, it is. And you basically can't say no because if you say no, then you're likely to get the costs at the Land Environment Court if you lose. So all of these concessions were made. The golf course took on conditions of consent and agreed to it. But then here's the kicker. Because it's considered landscaping, this $30 million project doesn't have a certifying authority on it. So there's no one checking that the golf course are abiding by the conditions of consent they agreed to.
Oh, that's bizarre, isn't it?
Bizarre.
So for all we know, more trees could be being chopped down.
It's possible. Council will be keeping an eye on that. Yeah, they have no authority to.
No.
But if it is discovered that there have been more trees cut down, then there will be repercussions. It's just that there isn't anyone checking. You know, I had concerns because, as you said, it looked like a lunarscape. They've been doing massive industrial-scale soil moving.
It's amazing, isn't it?
There's something like 25,000 cubic metres of soil coming out or going in. It's just there's 900 truck movements of stuff coming in and out. But what I was concerned about, because this site is an Aboriginal lawmaking site, it was very important. There's already been a full body of a woman discovered in previous works.
Like a skeleton.
And she was dug up and moved with the permission of the La Perouse Land Council. But there have been other bones found, and I was
human bones.
Human bones, yeah. Pre-settlement bones. I was very concerned that there was no one watching.
Yes.
No, and they were just bulldozing.
Wow.
Just moving the whole, so it was,
that's astonishing.
It is astonishing. So, and that was a condition of consent, that they had to have an Aboriginal heritage officer on site.
All the time?
All the time.
And do they? Or we don't know, I suppose.
We don't know.
We never will know.
No.
Probably.
No.
So I was intrigued to read that I think the club president or chairman, spokesman, said that the trees restrict airflow and create heavy shade, which is kind of the point of trees. I mean, that was the sort of rationale for chopping them down, I think. But
equally, I had comments that people were going to be, how were they going to play golf because it was going to be so hot?
Yes.
The whole point of this...
Yeah. Like at least 6 months of the year in Sydney, you're actually very grateful for shade.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
So also I'm surprised that, I imagine that the club is more or less a democratic institution. Don't really know that, but I think that there was a vote about this. There's said to be something like 6,000 members of the club. Were they all in agreement?
No,
do you know?
No, because there was no postal votes allowed. Quite a large proportion of people are country members. You had to be in the room, and it was put on at 6 o'clock on a Thursday night in the city, and it just happened to be the most horrific weather night, and so many people turned up. It was the numbers are a bit depending on exactly
in the city, like downtown.
Downtown. It was like at the Masonic Centre, and so a lot of the older members, the vast majority, didn't turn up. There was only basically 15% of the people voted for this. 15% of the membership voted for it.
And was it controversial within the club? It's clearly been controversial in the community, but...
Yeah, I was alerted to it by members.
Yes.
So it's controversial. I had a lot of members contacting me, but they weren't comfortable coming out publicly because they felt, they know that they would be, their life would be made unpleasant.
Yeah.
And we saw evidence of that.
Did you people have been, felt intimidated? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, I'm kind of astonished still that, especially in the eastern suburbs, but actually anywhere, if you want to chop down a single tree in your backyard, you've got a sort of snowball's chance. And yet here we have a club, and it can't be incidental that it costs something like $26,500 to join this club and $5,000 odd every year as an annual fee. So this is an elite club. It feels like this. I'm trying to think of another word than arrogance or entitlement, but those are the words that spring to mind, because here we have 600 trees that are being legally chopped down, mature, like a lot of them enormous canopy trees. Is that a sense of entitlement operating here? It just seems extraordinary that you can treat nature that way, quite apart from the community.
It is. That's what I alluded to originally. It is a sense of entitlement, but it's also evidence of a broken planning system.
Yeah.
That if the planning system can approve this, then there's something wrong.
Absolutely.
You know, on one hand, the government's telling us we need to have a canopy of 40%,
yes.
which for us, Wallara's done the heavy lifting on this, and we basically can only get to 30%, and that's good.
Yeah.
How are we going to get to 30% if we've just lost 3.6 hectares?
Yes. And why are the courts not protecting that?
I have no idea. And I couldn't understand why it wouldn't even be captured by the EPBC Act. There are so many environmental problems with it. But the Planning Act there was nothing we could do to stop
Even
it.
the Planning Act puts an obligation to take into consideration effects on climate change, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. And then they argued that the canopy would be replaced within the first DA was so hilarious. They said in the first year there will be a 2% canopy increase, but they'd actually taken the level after they'd chopped the trees down, so they were starting
from nothing.
Yeah. That was the level of the documentation for the first DA that got withdrawn. But it was there was no. They say that the canopy will come back, but anyone who knows anything about trees looks at it and just goes, the canopy's never coming back because the trees will die, and unless you're planting at such a huge rate.
Yes.
And the trees they've planted are shrubs, and they're only 15-year lifespan, and so that's just this constant planting.
Yes.
Whereas the trees they've taken out have 100+ year lifespan, and they were only 50 years old.
Yes.
So,
and those trees have huge carbon sequestration effect, of course, which a shrub can never hope to match with its little sticks.
I mean, Sebastian Faust has just been trying to educate everyone on this, that the big trees just carry they're the heavy lifters. They actually take the toxins out of the air. They take the pollution. There's been studies of the big trees that, driving down New South Head Road and you hit Rushcutters Bay with those big fig trees, the pollution levels just crash.
Drop.
Yeah,
fantastic.
So that's what we're losing. In this bay now, in this valley, we've just lost our filters.
Yeah. It's like they're looking after us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And somehow we don't manage to look after them.
No, I know. It's just, it was heartbreaking. I couldn't walk up the street for the first couple of weeks. We're currently, everyone in the area is feeding possums. We're seeing a lot more large birds because all of their habitats
Being
gone.
destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the cockatoos and the lorikeets they're all just
wandering around looking for somewhere to roost.
Yeah.
This is the moment we're about to take a music break. We're going to have a track by Baba Mal, who's regarded as a Senegalese superstar, playing a track called Coney with Ernest Ranglin.
Wan ko wanodo ina wana ta ko tindol hakkunde mana yaali aliyo hakkunde ale mana aliyo Dine on ko wonno do ina wana ta ko tindol akonde mana yaali aliyo akonde ale mana aliya wallahi
That was Baba Mal and Ernest Ranglin playing a track called Coney from an album called On the Road from 2008. Baba Mal will be playing, you might be interested to know, at the Womadelaide Festival in March. So trek along there. I'm Elizabeth Farrelly with you on the Sydneyist at Eastside Radio, 89.7 FM or eastsidefm.org. And I'm here with Willara Greens councillor Nicola Grieve, and we're talking trees. We're talking about the chopping down a couple of weeks ago of almost 600 mostly mature trees on the site of the Royal Sydney Golf Club, which has been extremely controversial. And the argument, Nicola, is, I believe, that the club says it's going to replace these trees with something like 10,000 shrubs, and that this will constitute the rewilding of the site because it's going to replicate what they say is a sort of native coastal bushland scrub. Is that right? And is it adequate?
So they are planting nearly 10,000 shrubs of a few trees of the endangered eastern suburbs Banksia scrub.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
And they are doing that. But the lie was that they had to chop the trees down to do it.
Yes.
They could easily have planted them, like understory planted those shrubs. And in fact, they did some
and
test
still
sites.
played golf around it.
Oh yeah, they did some test sites without taking out trees, and they were fantastic. But they are understory. There's a very few of the trees they're planting are big trees. We in fact increased the number of big trees. We also conditioned trees that flowered all through the year so that there was food in winter, because there was no consideration that these trees are actually a resource for the environment and the community. They're not the golf. We kept telling them that you're just the custodians of these trees. You're not the owners.
Yes, and that's actually a really interesting question, isn't it? Because there is an attitude, and it feels like a fairly old-fashioned attitude to me, that we own nature. But surely it's evident to us all now that, in fact, at the very most, we're custodians. In many ways, nature owns us, you might say.
Yeah.
And we're feeling the kind of pointy end of that now. But surely that suggests that we have wider obligations, and that all of us, but particularly the pillars of community, should be taking these obligations seriously. I'm kind of thinking of, that old thing, socialise the gains and privatise the gains and socialise the losses, and it feels a bit like that, as though this is all about private benefit. But I still wonder why anyone wants to play golf with no trees. I mean, surely the beauty of that club has always been its canopy. What is it about a treeless golf game that attracts people? Do you have,
it's the international competitions. They can put the cameras in and get the shots down the fairways.
Okay. So
it's all about that.
TV.
It's also, and it's also about bad golfers, because the wider the fairway, the easier it is.
You're not going to lose your ball.
Yeah, but...
and so that's about making money.
It's about... it's not even money, it's prestige. These people don't need the money. I've seen the books. This is a $30 million project.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, this club made a $3 million profit during COVID.
Yes. Remember that? That was from JobKeeper.
Yeah. But they didn't need to borrow any money to do this. It's just sitting in their bank account. Yeah. So it's not about money. It's not about the security of the club. We see all these community clubs having to do things, sell off land and do that to keep going. But these guys don't have to do that.
So this is about getting the right people on your...
It's about vanity. It's about prestige of having an international competition, and hang the environment that you live in.
Kind of social climbing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about the question of biodiversity, because there must be a lot of, I imagine, a lot of species that are dependent on these trees.
Wallara Council does a biannual biodiversity study, and the last study, which was done not on Royal Sydney, but on the Wallara Public Course, which used to belong to Royal Sydney until they didn't pay their council rates and we reclaimed it. There were 6 microbat species.
Whoa.
And then there's also, of course, the endangered grey-headed flying fox. There were so many different species. But for there to be 6 microbats in this area, that just tells you the level of biodiversity. It is insane.
Yes. And also, owls and...
Oh, we have roosting powerful owls.
Yeah.
On the Wallara Golf Course.
Yeah.
We don't know about Royal Sydney because we can't get in there to see. But
there's been some attempt to put roosting or breeding boxes. Is that right?
They've tacked up some large, very large roosting boxes, which I don't know what species they're designed for, because they're certainly not for the possums or they may just do a powerful owl, but I don't think they're right for a powerful owl. They're just so large that they're probably almost inappropriate.
One size fits all.
Again, one size fits all, but not very useful. I think the only creatures that will use it will be the feral bees. Will be nesting in them and turning them into wild hives.
Oh,
but there's
honey.
Honey
is good.
But they're not. They're way too big for any of the birds.
So possums like quite small boxes, do they? Like intimate spaces.
Yeah, and there's the family. I'm feeding 2 families of ringtail possums at the moment that have just appeared, and they're tiny. They like to live in little drays, they're called, where they bring the branches together, and they're tiny little things.
Sweet.
Yeah, they're very sweet. And the lorikeets and the cockatoos, like, not quite so as big as this.
So really there should be a range of different sizes provided.
Like nature.
Yeah. So these are possums that are being fed, that you're feeding because they need to be fed because they've been displaced, or just...
Well, all their food's gone.
Yeah.
Like the golf course was like a massive supermarket for the entire area.
Yes.
And it's just been taken out.
It's astonishing. I'm actually just thinking again as you speak of that scene of devastation of bare soil, which sort of acres and acres and acres of it, and machines kind of pushing it around. So there must have been a major. I mean, they've obviously removed trees, but also grass. The turf itself has been poisoned.
They used. I can't remember the figure, but thousands of litres of glyphosate which is Roundup, to poison the grass. So they've poisoned all the grass, and they're moving it, and then they're and the ones that they're not doing earthworks on, they've poisoned it because they're apparently planting a different grass.
Oh, okay.
That's so they had to kill the first grass,
of course.
And so all of that. This is pure sand. It was a former entrance to the harbour.
Yes.
The water and chemicals, poison, will just, end up in the Rose Bay, where we have endangered sea grasses and seahorses. And so we've got grave concerns that there's going to be a die-off in Rose Bay, which is an important fish nursery. So it's not just held within the boundary of this site. It goes further.
Yeah. Glyphosate actually is, it's still available in supermarkets here, but it's banned in so many countries, isn't it?
It's
really horrible stuff.
Yeah. Our council, I don't think we use it anymore. But the amount of poison that you could see that's being used, they just broad-scaled it.
It's astonishing. All right, so look, let's talk about, just quickly come back to the question of Indigenous heritage, because there was this find of a skeleton, not with this project as I understand it, but with
the previous, the renovation to the clubhouse.
And we don't know yet whether there might be Indigenous remains similarly on this site, is that right?
It's highly likely. There has been a leg bone found. I'm not sure where that leg bone is.
Yeah.
Nobody could tell me where it was,
yes.
Whether it was in the museum or whether it had been reburied, but it's got a file number.
So was that found as part of this project, or that was the previous one as well?
Just when they were doing, digging up something else.
Okay. Yes.
The Aboriginal Heritage Study explained that this was a very important meeting place and dispute settlement area, and where law was made. And then they and it's highly likely that there will be more bones found.
Which makes the whole question of the lack of supervision the more worrying, I suppose, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Just quickly, there's been talk in Sydney recently about turning golf courses into housing. What's your view of that? Is that...
I'd like to turn it back into the wetlands that it's supposed to be.
Yes.
There is a creek running through it, not that you would know because it's covered over.
Which is why the paperbarks were so happy.
Yeah. I am astounded that we can be in this day and age, we can be spending $30 million and not providing one house in this housing crisis. It's obscene. So I
just something with some community benefit rather than...
that we could walk across it, open the creek up so rewild it so we can have some fish in there. Anything. Just give something back to the community.
Yes, which would be a good sign, a good gesture. We're going to have to wrap up there. Nicola, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
It was a great conversation, even if it's a heartbreaking topic.
I know. I can't believe I'm smiling.
Exactly. I've been talking with Councillor Nicola Grieve, a Greens representative on Woollahra Council. If you have great ideas or questions for us, please do drop us a line on the Sydneyist at eastsidefm.org. Thank you for joining us on the Sydneyist. Bye-bye, folks.